The hospital called me back at 6:14 that morning. At first I thought something had gone wrong with my son's surgery. Your brain goes there instantly when you're a parent. Doesn't matter how calm you try to act. I was standing in my kitchen barefoot, half awake, staring at 2 coffees I'd made out of habit. One for me. One for my mom. Only hers was still sitting there untouched. The nurse sounded polite. Too polite. Mr. Delaney? We just wanted to confirm someone's still coming to stay with your son after discharge. I already knew. Honestly, I think I knew before she even finished the sentence. I looked over toward the couch where my son Eli was asleep under a dinosaur blanket, still clutching the stuffed shark he'd taken everywhere lately because hospitals freaked him out. My mother was supposed to be there an hour earlier. Instead, my sister had posted airport selfies. Miami. Matching outfits. Cocktails at 7 in the morning. And right there in the background was my mom, smiling like a teenager. Meanwhile my 8-year-old was about to have surgery. Yeah. That hit a little different. I called my mother anyway. Straight to voicemail. Then I texted her. Nothing. A minute later, another Instagram story went up. Champagne glasses. I just stared at my phone for a second thinking, wow. She really did it this time. Eli woke up rubbing his eyes. Grandma here yet? Kids can ask simple questions that feel like punches. I forced a smile. She had to go out of town, buddy. Oh. That was it. No meltdown. No crying. Which honestly made it worse. The surgery wasn't dangerous exactly. Tonsils and adenoids. But Eli's sleep apnea had gotten bad enough that I'd spent months barely sleeping myself. You ever wake up at 3 in the morning because your kid suddenly stopped breathing for 2 seconds? That changes something in your head. I'd been juggling work, appointments, insurance calls, all of it alone for months. My mom promised she'd help this one time. She said it herself. Of course I'll be there, Nathan. Then my sister Vanessa got invited on some last-minute trip with her boyfriend. And suddenly my son became optional. That pretty much summed up my family. Vanessa had always been the center of gravity. Everything bent toward her eventually. When we were kids, she wrecked my first car and somehow I ended up apologizing because she was already stressed. At my wedding, my mother left halfway through because Vanessa got into an argument downtown with some guy she'd been dating for 6 days. I remember standing there in a cheap tux watching my mother rush out while my wife Rachel squeezed my hand under the table. Stop expecting your mom to suddenly become somebody else, she whispered. I didn't listen back then. I guess part of me kept hoping. Rachel died 4 years ago. Brain aneurysm. Random Tuesday night. 1 minute she was folding laundry and laughing at some terrible reality show, next minute everything was sirens and hospital lights and doctors using soft voices. After she died, my mom stepped up for a while. Or at least I thought she did. She brought meals over. Watched Eli sometimes. Enough that I convinced myself maybe losing Rachel changed her. Turns out it didn't. Some people only know how to show up when things are dramatic. Once life settles into regular hard work, they disappear. By the time we got to the hospital that morning, I was running on maybe 3 hours of sleep and pure irritation. My friend Connor met us in the lobby carrying burnt coffee from the downstairs cafe. You look terrible, he said. Good morning to you too. Connor had been my closest friend since college. Big guy. Quiet. Looked intimidating until he started talking about gardening or old jazz records. He took one look at my face and said, "Your mom bailed, didn't she?" I nodded. For Vanessa again? Miami this time. He blinked slowly like he was trying not to say something disrespectful. That's insane. I shrugged. And he got irritated immediately. No, seriously, stop acting like this is normal. That stuck with me. Because somewhere along the way, I really had normalized it. The surgery itself went fine. The waiting didn't. I sat there in those awful hospital chairs watching daytime TV with the volume muted while Connor pretended not to notice me checking my phone every 4 minutes. No message from my mother. Nothing. After surgery, Eli woke up groggy and emotional. First thing he asked for was Grandma. I felt something in me sink a little. Not explode. Just sink. A nurse named Lauren noticed. "You doing okay, Dad?" she asked. "Yeah," I said automatically. She gave me that look nurses give when they know you're lying but decide to let you keep your dignity. "You're doing a good job," she said quietly. It shouldn't have mattered that much. But honestly, it did. By late afternoon, Eli was cleared to go home. That should have been the end of it. Except the billing department called me back downstairs before we left. The woman behind the desk looked confused. "Sir, do you know a Linda Delaney?" "My mother. She contacted the patient portal requesting temporary guardian access." I actually laughed. Not because it was funny. Because I genuinely didn't know what else to do anymore. Apparently sometime the night before, my mother tried adding herself to Eli's medical file so she could help coordinate recovery decisions. Without asking me. Without even showing up. Lauren overheard part of the conversation nearby and slowly looked up from her clipboard. "You may want to update your passwords," she said carefully. That was the moment everything kind of clicked into place. My mother didn't think she was crossing boundaries. She thought access automatically belonged to her. I drove home through freezing rain while Eli slept in the back seat with his mouth hanging open from the anesthesia. And somewhere during that drive, the guilt finally started wearing off. That part surprised me. For years I'd kept peace by staying quiet. You know the type. Family says something disrespectful, you smile a little, change the subject, tell yourself it's not worth the fight. I got good at swallowing things. Too good. The next morning I called a lawyer. Not dramatically. Not angrily. Just calmly. After Rachel died, I'd already put protections in place for Eli. Medical directives. Trust paperwork. Emergency authorizations. Mostly because grief teaches you how quickly people start assuming things. I tightened everything. Changed passwords. Removed secondary access. Simple. Clean. A week later my mother showed up at my apartment with Vanessa trailing behind her carrying shopping bags from Miami. Like this was some regular Sunday visit. "Hey, sweetheart," my mother said carefully. I stayed in the doorway. Didn't invite them in. That immediately threw her off. People like my mother rely on familiarity. Routine. The assumption they'll always be welcomed back eventually. Vanessa pushed her sunglasses onto her head. We brought Eli gifts. My son stayed behind me holding onto my hoodie. Smart kid. My mother tried smiling. "Nathan, you're making this bigger than it is." There it was. The family motto. Minimize first. Then guilt. "You missed his surgery," I said. "It wasn't intentional. You were drinking champagne at the airport." Vanessa rolled her eyes instantly. "Oh my God, are we still talking about this?" That tone. Like my son's surgery had interrupted her vacation vibe. I looked at my mother instead. "Did you try putting yourself on Eli's medical records?" Vanessa frowned. "Wait, what?" My mother crossed her arms. "I was trying to help. By listing yourself as temporary guardian? You work constantly, Nathan. Because somebody has to." That one landed. I saw it immediately. My mother's face changed for half a second because Vanessa was standing right there hearing all of it. And appearances mattered more to her than honesty ever did. I sacrificed everything for my children, she snapped. I almost laughed. Not mean. Just tired. Did you? I asked quietly. Silence. Rain tapped softly against the hallway windows. Nobody moved. Years ago I would have apologized just to end the tension. I could feel that old instinct trying to crawl back in. Not this time. I handed her an envelope. Inside were formal notices removing all medical access to Eli along with instructions that future communication had to go through me directly. My mother stared at the papers. You got lawyers involved? You involved yourself. Vanessa scoffed. This is ridiculous. No, I said. This is boundaries. My son squeezed my sleeve a little tighter. Then my mother said the thing that finally ended whatever guilt I had left. After all I've done for you, you're choosing strangers over family? Strangers. Meaning the nurses who stayed late. The doctors who actually showed up. Connor. People who helped without making everything transactional. I looked at her for a long second. You keep confusing access with love, I said. That one hit. I could tell. Not because she argued. Because she didn't. I opened the apartment door wider. Not to let them in. To end the conversation. You should go. Vanessa muttered something under her breath and headed toward the elevator. My mother lingered another second like she genuinely couldn't believe I was serious. But eventually she walked away too. And honestly, the apartment felt lighter after the elevator doors closed. A few months passed. Things got quieter. Not magically healed. Just clearer. My mother called less. When she did call, conversations stayed polite and short. No guilt trips. No emotional hostage situations. Turns out boundaries only work once people realize you'll actually keep them. Eli recovered fast after surgery. First night he slept peacefully without gasping for air. I still woke up twice checking on him anyway. Old habits. Connor caught me smiling at work one afternoon and said, "Wow. Look at you. You almost resemble a functional human again." I laughed harder than I expected. And somewhere in all of it, I realized the real payoff wasn't revenge. It was peace. No more pretending neglect didn't hurt. No more teaching my son that love meant accepting disappointment over and over. That part ends with me. A couple months later Eli and I grabbed burgers near the river after one of his follow-up appointments. Halfway through his fries he looked up and said, "Dad?" "Yeah. You always stay." Simple little sentence. Kid probably forgot he even said it. I didn't. Outside the restaurant, rain reflected city lights across the sidewalk while traffic rolled by steady and loud. For the first time in a long while, going home actually felt peaceful.